Have you officially started yet?
Yeah, so I did a soft start in May. I did all this spring training for the football team at Gilman, and now I'm officially there. So I'm their full-time strength and conditioning coach. So I do an hour in the morning with all their kids. So anybody that wants to come in from 8 to 9:30, they'll train with me. Then from 9:30 to 10:45, I'll have the football team in.
And you're doing that every day of the week during the summer now?
Yep.
That's awesome, man. What is it like going into the high school setting? Because, you have this unique role of, you're now doing a subset of what some of our members are doing. They're working in high school, whether it be down in Texas or a little bit over here in the Mid Atlantic. But there's a growing contingent of coaches getting out of college because they're like, I'm done with this. And they're either going private like you did or now the youth high school thing. So you did the soft start. What is your recommendation to anybody that maybe just did the exact same thing? Looking back on it, what would you make sure that you would tell them to do, and some things you'd be like, hey, make sure you don't do this because I did it and boy, it was a mistake.
To get into the high school or like just being in high school.
Let's go both. How do you get started in it, and then once you're in, within you just completed your first month. So hey, how to get in it, and then within your first month, make sure you do this, make sure you don't do that.
Yeah, so I guess to get in it, like to be honest, I think I just really got freaking lucky with the connections that I've had. Like I really can't tell you other than that.
So get in Strength Coach Network is what you're saying. Make sure
Yes.
you have people that you know to help get you to the front of the line.
Yes, but also too like even when you're interning, like what was it? I had interned with you like years ago. We've stayed connected and you've also helped me out getting multiple connections throughout like your community. I think you have to be really stringent or not even stringent, but just make sure that you know where you're interning and you know like after this that these people really think highly of you and they're going to be willing to put your name into hats, right? Like I think there's a lot of times where I've heard a lot of stories where people are interning and all they did was like just clean up the weight room, and that was like that they didn't get any coaching experience with it because of that. Like that coach never felt comfortable with to telling this guy like, oh, try to talk to them, or this girl try to talk to them. So just be really mindful with like where you go to intern, and also really reach out to as many people as possible. You don't know who people know, and that's how I got my foot in the door. Now with training the kids, the biggest piece of advice I would say is like know how to maximize your space. So
Mm.
there'll be points in time when I'm with the football team, I'm one dude, but I'll have like 65 to 75 people in the weight room at a time. Yes,
What?
yes. So with
Hold
that,
on. How?
yeah, I'm
Oh
not
my
lying.
gosh.
Yeah. So the first two. So this is week one, mind you. This was last year. Gilman's football team averaged like 35 to 45 people at a time. And so I was told like be ready for 35 to 45 kids. So I had my programming for the week done. Like, all right, Dad, I'm gonna have 35, 45 kids. I go outside and I see this army of children ranging from like 100-pound kids to like the D1 Penn State commit that's there, and I'm just like, all right, well, I got to figure out how to train them. So like, number one, know how to maximize your space and don't be married to your program. Like I had to switch stuff up on the fly and almost make it like I don't want to say circuit style, but damn near it because I had like 75 kids at a time. So I can't have people just moving all throughout the floor randomly. So just maximize your space and know or don't be married to whatever programming that you may have for that week one or week two. Always be adaptable to it because you never know what would happen.
Wow. That like I mean, first of all, was this an indoor session or outdoor? Like the
So
fact
it's
you
outdoor and indoor.
I was about to
Outdoor.
say like you have a heck of a weight room if you're able to have that number of
Oh
kids in there
hell
at
no!
one time.
No 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 no.
Like that's incredible that you be able to do that. And as you are, you just talked about internships. How are you going to go about trying to build that then? Because we talk about like, okay, you're forecasting. What would be any of the abilities to kind of try to grow that within having people come in to help you? And especially because you've had experience, interning at Dell State with Joel and then here. Taking a quick break from the show, everybody. Promises will take less than 15 seconds. Friendly reminder, go ahead, hit that subscribe button below. It helps us out, and it helps you out by being notified whenever we have new content come out. So hit that subscribe button, and with this, let's get back to the show.
So to be honest, I haven't thought of, I mean, I've thought about it loosely with creating like an internship program at Al Gilman. Um, there's been a few kids that were just people that I met through Instagram and just in the space of life that have expressed interest in like learning how to do strength and conditioning. I think my thought process is when like if there's a college kid that is looking to train, like, but is also interested in strength and conditioning, inviting them to come in and like, hey, listen, like I need your help coaching. If you really enjoy this, like I can also teach you things, but I'll also train you for free because I can't afford to pay you like anything. But I do have I guess a decent knowledge base to teach you two or three things that I can at least reach out to the next person that I know will be able to take you a little bit further. Um, so yeah, like
That's a good point. How do you and I were speaking off air about how you have a wide range of athletes' age. Talk a little bit about that so that way, because again, there might be people that are taking over high school and they do have middle school kids. Like, talk about what your day looks like and how you're going to go about training those people.
right. So on the typical day when it actually starts, I'm going to be a PE teacher for the lower school. So that's, I guess, K through fifth. When that's from 8 to noon. Once noon is done, I'll have athletes coming in my block sessions. So that will range from middle schoolers for two groups and then high schoolers for the remaining groups to follow. The biggest, I guess, how I'm going to plan to go about this is to literally follow a long-term athletic development model. Like for my PE classes, we're doing the fundamentals, making sure kids get a huge, wide bandwidth of movement variability. So, like, we're doing different skipping variations. We're going to do different crawling variations. I'm going to introduce gymnastics to them. Once we get into the middle school aspect, we're going to start learning how to train accordingly. So, like, learning different squatting variations, how to properly hinge. We'll get a little bit more strategic or have a little bit more of a structured base. And then once we get into our high school classes, we're going to get into train to win or train to compete. So now we're starting to have a little bit more of a tailored structure with it, whether it be a 1x20 model or we're doing like an APRE based model. With all those middle school and high school guys, I want to make sure that I'm just getting the minimum dosage on everything and just progress it from there.
How do you? I know how I feel about it. Like, you're gonna start pulling out bands and chains with all these high school kids and doing
Oh
like
no.
super maximal, loading and tendoing it and like.
No, so like, and I think it's like, let me take a back step. Like, being in the private sector, I found like there was a lot of like to get views on Instagram, Twitter, whatever the case may be. Like, you would see a lot of trainers doing like French contrasts with their 8-year-old lacrosse phenom or football phenom, and it's just like, bro, like my man hasn't even learned how to do like extensive plyos yet. Like, what are we talking about? So slow cook the crap out of your athletes. Like, there's no reason why we should be doing maximum effort method with anybody. Like, just get a general strength base with your kids. Make sure that they move well. Give them a wide bandwidth of movement, and progress them from there. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. Like, I think it's just you need common sense, but I think nowadays common sense really isn't that common.
On the flip side, how are you gonna handle parents that maybe are like, because now you've been dealing with parents of kids, but now you might have to deal with a parent talking to you or talking to the head football coach and saying like, I did see this on Instagram. Why isn't so and so doing it? Like, how do you handle that?
It's just explaining it to them in a very polite way, like, hey, listen, like this is great and dandy, but what we want to make sure that we're doing is that
He said great and dandy.
I just did. But if
That's
this is great
awesome.
and dandy and all, however, like our kids are not ready for that. We want to make sure that we are mastering the movements efficiently before we start progressing things accordingly. And also too, explaining to them like, hey, these methods were designed for like your Olympic level athlete. Your kid is 13 years old. Let's look at where we are and maybe where we want to go and how do we get there. It's just explaining it to them.
Congratulations on making it to the end of the video. Why don't you celebrate by watching more videos just like it? You can also help us on our quest to placate the algorithm gods by liking, sharing, subscribing, and commenting. Thank you.